Right now, somewhere out there, a predator capable of killing you in seconds is choosing not to. And it's not because it's scared of you. Picture yourself asleep on open ground. No cabin, no fence, no fire burning nearby. Just you, flat on your back, eyes closed, completely unaware of what's moving around you. Somewhere in the brush, a coyote pack is testing the wind. A black bear is working its way along a creek bed nearby. A mountain lion is easing down from the rocks above without making a single sound. Every single one of them is physically capable of ending your life in seconds. You can't run. You can't see them coming. You are, in every practical sense, completely at their mercy. So here's the genuinely odd part. If you're that exposed, why does an attack almost never happen? Why doesn't a bear treat a sleeping hiker the same way it treats a dropped cooler? The real explanation has almost nothing to do with human toughness. It has everything to do with how a predator's brain actually decides what's worth attacking. Smell. Pattern recognition. An ancient cost-benefit calculation running quietly behind every set of eyes in the dark. Once you understand how that decision actually gets made, predators stop looking like villains waiting in the dark. Let's start with a correction, because most people picture predators completely wrong. A wild predator isn't a creature waiting to pounce on whatever crosses its path. Every fox, every wolf, every bear runs a constant background filter, danger against payoff, before committing to anything. Because getting hurt in the wild is never a minor setback. A coyote with a torn paw can't keep pace with a jackrabbit. There's no rest, no medicine, no guaranteed meals while it heals. An injured predator slowly starves while healthier competitors eat first. So these animals aren't reckless. They're extremely conservative decision makers. A predator that survives 10 years by turning down marginal opportunities will always outlast one that gambles constantly. And a sleeping person, against every instinct you'd expect, frequently fails to clear the bar as a reasonable target at all. Reason 1 comes down to scent, and it's stranger than most people assume. Humans carry an odor profile that makes no sense to a wild nervous system. Sunscreen, detergent residue, insect repellent, rubber, faint campfire smoke, all blended into something no wild animal recognizes. To a creature that sorts every smell into safe or unsafe, an unreadable smell defaults straight to unsafe. Evolution rewards extreme caution around anything unfamiliar. Hesitation simply outlives curiosity. Even large, confident predators often swing wide around a campsite for no reason beyond the smell itself. Field researchers tracking large carnivores describe the same pattern constantly. Animals approach to a certain distance, lift their heads to test the air, then simply turn back the way they came. No growl, no confrontation, just a quiet decision made entirely through the nose. Reason 2 is something researchers call neophobia, an automatic wariness toward anything unfamiliar. Predators hunt using a mental template built from watching how real prey behaves, twitching ears, darting eyes, sudden sprints. A body curled motionless inside a sleeping bag matches none of those templates. It doesn't move like something fleeing. It doesn't move like something grazing either. Anything unpredictable might also fight back unpredictably, and that stillness is exactly what keeps the predator from committing. Compare that to a pronghorn antelope, which explodes into a sprint the instant it's spooked. That explosive motion is exactly what a predator's nervous system has spent its whole life learning to react to. A silent, unmoving shape wrapped in fabric offers none of those familiar cues at all. Biologists have tested this directly, placing unfamiliar objects in front of motion-triggered cameras in the wild. The pattern repeats constantly. Animals circle at a distance, sniff the air, and often abandon the area entirely. Reason 3 sits even deeper, wired in through an enormous stretch of evolutionary history. Predators build their hunting instincts around animals that flee the instant danger appears. That fleeing motion triggers the chase. Humans consistently fail to deliver that signal. Startle a sleeping person, and they rarely bolt like a deer. People shout, wave arms, grab objects, or simply stand up and suddenly look much larger than they did lying down. That erratic, aggressive response is exactly the kind of behavior a predator's instincts treat as a red flag. Across countless encounters over thousands of years, predators that tried their luck against humans generally paid for it. That expensive lesson has been quietly folded into instinctive caution, passed down generation after generation. Young predators inherit much of this wariness simply by watching how adults react around people. Now here's where the math gets genuinely interesting. Wild predators operate under a strict energy budget. A cheetah completes roughly half its full-speed chases, and is often too winded to defend the kill for minutes afterward. A leopard often needs 10 or more stalking attempts before a single one pays off. Every failed attempt still burns calories the animal cannot easily replace. A sleeping human clears none of those bars convincingly. Little reward, high risk, confusing scent, unreadable behavior. Somewhere else in that same landscape, there's almost always an easier, safer, more calorie-efficient option available. A sleeping human loses that particular comparison rather badly, under nearly any realistic scenario. None of this means attacks never happen, because they occasionally do. Wildlife biologists sort these rare incidents into 3 recurring categories. The first involves animals too injured or aged to catch their normal prey anymore. Once an animal physically can't compete for its usual food, a motionless target suddenly becomes worth the risk. The second involves what rangers call food-conditioned animals, wildlife that's learned humans mean easy meals. Once that natural wariness erodes through unsecured food, the entire risk calculation shifts. Park managers have documented bears graduating from dumpsters to picnic tables, eventually requiring relocation. The third involves animals that feel cornered, startled at close range, or are defending young. A mother bear protecting cubs isn't hunting. She's reacting to a perceived threat, the same way almost any animal would. Which is exactly why fatal encounters remain so statistically rare, given how many people camp outdoors every year. Millions sleep within earshot of exactly these animals, waking up never knowing how close or how uninterested they actually were. What stands out most in the research is how hard predators actually work to stay away from people entirely. Researchers tracking coyotes in major cities found them shifting deeper into the night, specifically in high-traffic neighborhoods, essentially rescheduling their entire lives around avoiding contact with humans. GPS-collared grizzly bears show a similar pattern, clustering movement near popular trails almost exclusively after dark. Some bears have been found bedding down near busy trailheads during peak daylight hours, motionless and silent, hiding in plain sight until foot traffic dies down enough to move safely. That level of restraint says a great deal about how strongly these animals prioritize avoiding us. These aren't animals lurking in wait. They're actively engineering their own schedules around staying invisible to us. Researchers call this a forced night shift, activity compressed entirely into the darkest, quietest hours. Coyotes in the busiest neighborhoods showed the most extreme version of this shift, becoming almost entirely nocturnal. The animals aren't adapting to us by growing bolder. They're adapting by making themselves scarcer. There's an even stranger twist buried in this dynamic, something ecologists call the human shield effect. Because predators avoid people so strongly, prey species have learned to move closer to human activity instead of fleeing it. Deer and elk cluster more densely near campgrounds exactly when wolves or mountain lions are most active elsewhere, using hikers and campers as an unintentional bodyguard against far more dangerous predators. From the prey's perspective, an occasional human is nothing compared to the danger of a hungry predator. Humans, without ever intending to, end up reshaping entire local food chains simply by being present. So why does the fear still feel so real once the sun goes down and you're lying out there in the open? Because the part of your brain generating that fear was shaped by an environment where the danger was once genuine. Long before flashlights, locked doors, or firearms, nightfall in the open was a real, constant hazard. The nervous systems that reacted strongly to that risk were the ones that kept producing offspring. That reaction never got the memo that circumstances changed. It's not irrational. It's simply outdated software. You can know every statistic in this video and still feel your pulse climb when a stick snaps in the dark. That gap between what you know and what you feel isn't a flaw. It's proof of just how old that wiring really is. Here's the honest picture underneath all of it. Nothing out there is circling your tent waiting for you to drift off. The coyotes moved through an hour ago and kept walking. The bear caught your scent and quietly changed direction. The mountain lion up in the rocks watched the darkness settle over your camp and simply lost interest. You are considerably safer stretched out in that sleeping bag than your instincts are telling you. Not because predators are harmless, but because you were never the opportunity they were actually looking for. 100 generations of animals already ran this exact calculation and passed the answer down as instinct, not instruction. No predator ever needed to like us, trust us, or understand exactly why the caution existed in the first place. Every wild hunter around you tonight is running the same quiet calculation it always runs. And somewhere in that calculation, across thousands of generations, your species simply stopped registering as worth the gamble.